Welcome everyone to our fourth episode of the Nine Realms Age of Sigmar Lore Explained. Today I'll talk about the godbeasts, the mighty and mythical beings that are key part of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar lore. So, what is exactly a godbeast? First, we need to talk about scale. In Age of Sigmar, we have the regular beasts, which don't receive any kind of qualificative. They are called dragons and the like. Then we have the Ur beasts. These beings are larger than average, giant, if you may say so. These beasts are qualified as being more powerful than the regular ones, because they are bigger and they are older, as a rule of thumb. Now we go to the third tier, which is the zodiacal beasts. These beasts are extremely ancient beings of great power and relevance. The god beasts are 8 beasts that belong to this category. Of the zodiacal beasts, we have that several of them have a tight relationship with the aforementioned god beasts. For example, one of the god beasts, called Behemoth, was the son of Immog, which is the father of Gargants, Age of Sigmar's giants. So it's not exactly clear whether or not the god beasts is an honorary title given to the most important of the zodiacal beasts, or they are one of a kind. Example, unique beings, so to speak. This is very vague. Warhammer Age of Sigmar lore hasn't given too much data on what makes or not a god beast, but I digress a bit. The god beasts are 8. There's one per each realm. But we don't know them all, nor the realms they belong to. We know for sure that Argentina, the Silver Worm, is the god beast of the realm of Chamon, realm of metal. That Vulcatrix, the mother of all salamanders, is the god beast of the realm of Akshi, realm of fire. Third one is Dracothian, the Star Drake, which is the god beast of the realm of Heaven's Azir. And lastly, we know for sure that Behemoth is the god beast of the realm of Gyron. And Drakator. Yes, there's a god beast that is named Drakator. It's cringeworthy, I know it. Bear with it. So, Drakator rules in the realm of Gore. Then we have 2. We don't know for sure whether or not which realm they belong to. But my theories are this. We have the Ur-Phoenix, which belongs to the realm of death, or light, perhaps, and Ignax, the great solar drake, which will belong to the realm of light, or shadow. I'm not sure which will be, but more or less is this. The god beasts are described as extremely ancient beings of massive power. They are gargantuan in proportions. Just for example, Ignax is described as being the size of an island, a big one, almost a continent. Think of it being the size of Australia, give or take. Vulcatrix is described as being so big that its fragments would become volcanoes. And we have Dracothian, which is believed to be the sky. So you can guess, these guys are big critters. Certainly the stuff of legends for the bone splitters. So, let me see, yes. The god beasts are a key part of the 3rd book of the Realm Gate Wars campaign, the eponymously named God Beasts book, and it revolves mainly around the quest for finding 2 of these beasts. I'm going to talk about it later, but let's go back a bit on the god beasts. The god beasts are very important to the Age of Sigmar lore because mainly Just for example, Vulcatrix was the one that killed Grimnir. Vulcatrix, therefore, is the basis upon which the Fire Slayers are based upon, because without the Urgold, they wouldn't be as we know them. Then we have Dracothian, which is revealed to be the second in command of Sigmar, its most trusted lieutenant and the creator of the setting. This isn't outright mentioned in the books, but we are given subtle hints and offhanded comments that point in that direction. In the first book, Age of Sigmar, we have that Dracothian finds the God King because he wants Malus, the comet that is the remnants of the old world. Malus thinks Dracothian will look nice in a certain position, and he wants it to locate it. Other comments in the godbeasts and All Gates books have Dracothian mentioning how he made certain elements of the wall. Therefore, we can assume that whenever the Chaos Gods destroy a wall, since he is mentioned to have done so multiple times, he simply rearranges the destroyed remnants into a new shape. So he's basically the cleanup crewman. Therefore, Dracothian is an ancient being and gives us a pointer. And it's possible that Ulrich, the god of winter and war, of the old world, was another such god beast, because we have another example of the god beasts being related to the old setting. In the old setting, we have the Phoenix god who worshipped Azurian. In the current one, we have the Phoenix Temple or Phoenix Council, which worshipped the Ur-Phoenix, which is said to have been an ancient being that had been reborn of the cinders of the old world. Therefore, we can assume that the god beasts are related to the figures of the prior setting, keeping on with the cycle of death and rebirth that the end times and the first books of the Age of Sigmar have shown us. So maybe he's Azurian, or, as has been given a few hints, he is actually the last of the Phoenix Kings that has been born anew in a different shape, which isn't as outlandish once you consider that Malerion, which is Malekith fused with his dragon, Seraphon, has gone through a similar procedure. And pretty much the same can be said about Ulrich, which had the shape of a wolf in the end times. So, just as the incarnates and the gods, these beasts may be as well survivors of the prior settings. Whether Dracothian is or was a survivor of a prior setting is left up to debate, because he is revealed to be as a neutral entity by and large. He is not interested in rebuilding and making new things, just of rearranging everything so that the gods that will follow this new wall can make civilization. But nevertheless, Dracothian is the creator of the setting, saying he lays the foundations every single time. He will rearrange, he will position, and he will flatten everything at hand. These are the three most relevant lore-wise. The other two god beasts that are featured in the third campaign book are relevant too, but for the story that they are pushing, not for the setting as a whole. For what I was saying, the god beasts are shown to live in rather strange places. For example, both Behemoth and Ignax are living entombed in crescent moon-shaped islands that are floating on the skies. Ignax is living in the island of the Chained Sun, while Behemoth is living in the Great Green Torque. Both are places of great magical significance. I mean, they are floating islands, for God's sake, that are close to realms. For example, the Great Green Torque is exactly next to the Amethyst Gate to the realm of death. So they seem to be a creator of Nexus too, but I digress, and I have little foundation for this statement. What we can certainly glean from the lore is that these figures can be subsumed as the titans of the setting. They are primal gods that represent aspects of both nature and primal emotions. Volcatrix represents fire and destruction, Wanton anger, while Dracothian represents the stars, time, period, and constancy. Also, they are the antithesis of the shown gods, the incarnates, and this is said because they are really the contrary of their gods. Just to give this example, Dracothian. The easiest example will be Krakatoa. Krakatoa is described as a giant mass of amber, which is first featured with him trapping Gorka Morka, who's unable to move. For all that we have been able to glean in so far in the few mentions it's been about him in the lore, Krakatoa is a force of stasis, of immobility. Also, he is described as being a lord of Kyria, a part of the realm of beasts. Meanwhile, Queen Gorka Morka, which is described as a force of anarchy, of chains, of wanton violence and unpredictability, who is ruling over all Gore, which is a savage realm of beasts and constant change and adaptability. But this extends to the other godbeasts. For example, the Orpheus, should he be related to the realm of death, would represent life, since he is the god of entity of rebirth, and being able to do so in a good state. His followers, the Phoenix Temple, are shown to have little in the way of degradation in their bodies should they be rebirthed. And by little in the way, I mean zero at all. Meanwhile, Nagash is a god of death. Everything that he touches decays, and his followers that manage to come back alive do so in a constant state of degradation, which is the contrary of the followers of the Ur-Phoenix and his powers. Behemoth is a god made entirely of stone that he is sleeping, and when he wakes up, he causes great destruction in the Great Green Torque. He is also related to the giants who are his servants and see him as his king, as their king, and see him as their king. This is contrary to Alariel, who is a goddess of life, of organic matter, and who, when he wakes up, causes a great explosion of life and creation, contrary to the destruction and cold stone Behemoth is made of. But the most glaring examples, the biggest examples, are Dracothian and Argentine. Argentine is the god beast of the realm of Caemon. He's the silver worm who's constantly hating a part of this realm. You also see this. The god beasts are the sovereigns, so to speak, of a specific part of the realm, as a contrary to the gods who are the lords of the whole realm, so to speak. Argentine is a god that serves Archaon. He's been enslaved already by the times of the campaign books, but he is described as a capricious, fickle, and really not nice god. Argentine is first mentioned in the lore as seeing the bubble world of Clintok, a planet whose nations are still prosperous and thriving. In other words, civilization is flourishing. What Argentine does is summon a horde of demons from his powers and destroy these. Therefore, he's more the contrary of Grimnir is a god of fire. of Grunki, Sorry, dwarven names, I mix them all the time, sorry. So, he's the contrary of Grungy, because Argentine is an entity that's been enslaved, forced against his will, but is nonetheless evil, who wants to cause destruction and summons forces of demons, of chaos. Plus, he's made of silver. In contrast, Grungy is a man that has been serving Sigmar willingly, who is fighting to preserve civilization and building it up, since he is the god of smithing. And he makes Stormcast Eternals who are the warriors of order, and they are made of gold primarily. Yes, I know there's the Hallowed Knights. Fuck on it. You want more gold, boys. Trust me, you want them. But the contrast is still there. And finally there's Dracothion and Sigmar. Dracothion is an entity that is described as being near omniscient in the books. He has this chance of seeing the future. He is older than this world, the previous one, and whatever came before the other two. And his power is the stars. In contrast, Sigmar is a being that is not omniscient, he's wise, but because he's seeing things, not because he sees everything. Is old, yes, he's older than the world, but by comparison, he's a babe, almost. And his power is thunder. In order to have thunder, you have to have a cloudy sky, which means you cannot see the stars. So the powers kind of cancel each other. Also, Dracothion is a cyclic entity. He just cares about rebuilding the realms, about setting things ready for the next batch, and hasn't really taken an active role in anything of the history insofar up until now. Meanwhile, Sigmar has been shown, both in the End Times narrative and the current books, to be an anti-cyclic entity, because he is opposing the changes of the forces of chaos, and this is the most obvious point. He is forced Dracothion to do something he hasn't done until now, which is to intervene, to participate, to fight too. So this kind of opens a dialectic of antithesis, thesis becoming synthesis. Sigmar, up until the age of Sigmar, was a barbarian, a warrior first and foremost. But when he meets Dracothion and starts rebuilding the realms, he starts taking the role of a king, a military strategist, but focused on building too, on making civilization. Others, for example, has the encounter with Krakatoa and Gorka Morka. Gorka Morka is a destructive entity, but after the meeting with Krakatoa, we see that his temper is more or less ameliorated, to the point he's able to cooperate with other beings to make things that are not constant anarchy. Then we have Grimnir, which is the most big example, because we have the destruction of the gods. They kill each other in fight. The godbeasts are extremely powerful, and it takes a god's full might to take down. When Grimnir fights a Volcatrix, they kill each other, and they make Volcanes and Urgol. Volcatrix represents wanton anger and savagery. Meanwhile, Grimnir, while he represented fire, he represented the might of a warrior that is protecting their beloved ones and is fighting for duty. So it's a matter between reason and pure and sheer emotion, which when mixed both do come out with madness. The Urgol is necessary for the fire slayers, but drives them to insanity, because they are seeing this moment of fight and they are corrupted by the forces of the Urgol, which not only is the realms of Grimnir, but if the hints are true, are also the remnants of Volcatrix. So the Urgol is a force that is transmitting the memories of Grimnir, but also the wrath of the Mother of Salamanders. And And then we are going to move on a bit to cover the story of godbeasts. I don't want to do much of it because it really deserves its own video, not only the explanation of as a whole. So Archaon wants their power because he needs them, just as he has enslaved Argentina. He wants Ignax and Behemoth. For this he triggers a giant war through the realms of Gyron and Akshi in order to reach the Great Green Torque and the lands of the Chained Sun. Sigmar, seeing this, calls upon his allies and his storm hosts and begins a counter invasion of sorts. The massive battles rage on across the realms of Akshi and Gyron, finally reaching the floating islands in the climaxes. The battles though don't go well, and Archaon manages to snag his objective twice. He gets Ignax and he gets Behemoth to his side, more or less. But there's a catch in both cases. In the case of Ignax, we see that the Dwarden have managed to activate a series of glyphs and runes that will cast a spell that counter and neuter Ignax when the time is ready, which is something that happens in the book of Algates. Algates or Alpoints? I think I'm mixing up names again. Well, I digress. And then we have the great Behemoth. Behemoth, when he wakes up, destroys great portions of the island, causing what could only be described as a very high in the Richter table earthquake. Extremely violent, that causes a lot of death. And Behemoth dies outright because he's killed by Sigmar, who unleashes a storm so tremendous that his servants and nor him are unable to control it. Therefore, it's constantly been shown that a great deal of power is needed to withstand the godbeasts. They are extremely strong, but at the same time they are very weak in terms of defense, for they're driving home their point of being beasts and not outright sentient figures, though they have intellect. This is shown in the case of Volcatrix. He's able to take on Grimnir and fight him up to a draw, where it kills both of them. Well, kills both of them. They are not alive, which is not the same as being dead. Make of that what you want to. But at the same time, their minds are shown to be weak. Both Argentine and Ignax are controlled by the forces of chaos because they overwhelm their minds. Therefore, it shows why they are not considered proper gods and don't occupy places in the current pantheon. Because their science, so to speak, is not as well developed. There's exceptions such as Dracothion and the Earth Phoenix, which actually occupy places in the pantheon. At least they are Phoenix, which will be the case as Ulrich did in the previous setting. But this is not the rule, because they don't have the brains, so to speak. So they are very strong in body, very strong in their effects, but in terms of mind, of control, they are very wanting in terms of capabilities. So this is more or less the overview. I think I haven't left anything, and if so, forgive me, but I think it's fun. Well, just to give a quick recap and making sure, we have 8 godbeasts that we know of 7, the Earth Phoenix, Dracothion, Argentine, Drakator, Behemoth, Ignax, and Volcatrix. They are representing aspects contrary to their associated gods, and they can be both forces of wanton destruction or creation. Their positions, therefore, are all over the spectre and are tightly related to the realms, as they constitute elemental parts of them, but they are not the entirety of the realms. Hope you have found this video useful, and may the gods be with you as you conquer the realms.